Welcome to the award-winning Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe, where home buyers, homeowners, and investors get practical mortgage and real estate insight straight from the pros with your host, Joe Garner.
Good morning, Memphis, and welcome to our internet listeners and podcast listeners across the 50 states. You're on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. I'm your host, Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage loan originator. Connect with me today at jogarner.com. Our topic in today is February 28th, 2026. The topic is the home stretch from mortgage approval to the closing table. We're going to do a little spotlight for you today on the brand new FinCin real estate rule that's going into effect tomorrow, March 1st, 2026. But in the studio to talk about that, we have attorneys Shelley Rothman and Rob Drawn of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer. And you guys have been sponsoring Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe for years. Thank you for taking such good care of our real estate clients who call in. Y'all do a super job, and you give them a nice discount too. Hint, hint. So if you're trying to do a home purchase or a refinance, I'm telling you, they really treat you right, and you'll be so happy that you did business with Rob Drawn and Shelley Rothman. Take a couple of minutes, guys, and talk about who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Joe. We really enjoy sponsoring and working with you. It's been a great experience, and we love helping people, and we feel as though we're assisting in spreading information and news that people know, that they need to know. Again, I'm Shelley Rothman Branning. I am a partner at the law firm of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer. I have been a real estate attorney for about 40 years, and prior to that, before law school, I worked in title abstracting in Brooklyn. So I've always kind of leaned towards real estate. Yeah, Brooklyn, New York. So I've always kind of leaned back into real estate and real estate related. I handle all commercial and residential transactions from beginning to end, deal with the issues, and a lot of title clearance. And I can be reached at 901-752-1133. And my email address is Shelley, Shelley, at gcemlaw.com.
And Rob Drawn.
I'm Rob Drawn, and Joe, thanks a lot for having us. We're glad to be back in the studio with you. But like Shelley said, I'm Rob Drawn. I'm an attorney with Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer as well. And we just love working with people that are buying and selling homes, both for them to live in or real estate investors as well. So we'd love to help you out with your closing.
And that number again is?
901-752-1133.
Well, you know, every week you hear me talk about some of my Hall of Fame mortgage clients. And over the last 30-something years, I've served clients who knew what they wanted when they were buying a home, and they just went out and bought one. I mean, my job in the mortgage process was to make it easy for them. They didn't have any problems, no challenges. Others wanted to buy a home, but they were met with challenges and the overwhelming belief that home ownership was just unattainable to them. They said things to me like, I can't buy a home right now. I don't even know where to start to refinance my house, and on and on. I mean, all kinds of negative beliefs. Well, once they put a good realtor, a good lender, and a closing attorney on their team, they could start running toward their goal with conviction. Their heart told them now was the time to own their home, and when the negative thoughts came, they just kept pushing forward to get right across that finish line. Well, you want to know how to finish strong on your journey to home ownership? The picture of the finish line reminds me of stories of the impossible becoming possible. How about the marathon runners? Matt Long, a New York City, Shelley, a New York City firefighter who qualified for the Boston Marathon but was hit by a bus while cycling to work.
Very inspirational. Yeah.
It looked like Matt, he was never going to walk again. You remember that story?
Oh, yes.
Well, Matt tenaciously pushed himself and was finally able to run the New York Marathon years later. Catherine Switzer signed up for the 1967 Boston Marathon when only men were allowed to run. She faced a lot of backlash, but blazed a trail to allow other women to compete in 1972. Sue Stockton, at 62, struggling with dementia. She ran a marathon to raise money for Alzheimer's research. I mean, wow, these are just people who were met with challenges but overcame them and got themselves across that finish line. Whatever it is that your mind believes you can't do, let me tell you, you can do it. You've just got to convince it. In your mind, once you're convinced that you can do it, you're going to be able to do it. just like these marathon runners with real estate professionals, a good realtor, a good lender. I'd like to sign up for the job as your lender. Good closing attorney, like the two we have here today. You're going to be in the home stretch to buying your home sooner than you think. Put one foot in front of the other. Keep moving forward. If you're buying a home, that good realtor can help you avoid pitfalls. I'd like to be on that journey as your lender, of course, and you can feel good about getting the right mortgage program, and we can work together to make that process easy. Today is February 28th, 2026, and mortgage rates are between a 3 and 4 year low. We have not seen better pricing affordability in 4 years. So, hey, look, it's great market. If you want to get ahead of your competition before that spring rush starts, you can start today. We'll help you. If mortgage rates go down over the next few months, you're going to have purchased a home you really like without having to compete on price and terms. You can choose to refinance later if mortgage rates go lower. But are you short on funds to close? There are mortgage programs to help you with down payment assistance. Let's explore some other sources of money that will help you too. If you can't verify all your income, we can calculate your qualified business deposits on your bank account. We don't need a tax return. Credit issues, we have credit simulators. We have other things that we can do. We can even do your pre-qualification on a soft pull that will not negatively affect your credit. Contact me. I can help you make your plan. Let's work your plan. If the deal works for you today, let's do it today. And I can be reached at 901-482-0354 and also at jogarner.com. I want to hear from you today. And so right now I want to pivot back over to attorneys Shelley Rothman and Rob Drawn. They have so many solutions for you. Hey, look, we've got about 5 or 6 minutes before we go to break. Why don't you guys start getting into some of your wonderful information?
Oh, we're glad to do that. And I just wanted to add to what you just stated, that it's really important to have a good team working with you when you're looking to buy a house, refinance a house, and that'll give you the comfort you need, and you should never be afraid to call who you're working with any questions you might have. There's no judgment. We're just here to help everybody. One of the questions we frequently get in connection with an upcoming closing is, how do I get my money to the closing? Do I bring a check? Do I send a wire? Well, here's the answer. We have to obtain wires in Tennessee for any amount in excess of $5,000. It's called the Good Funds Act, so we really don't have a choice. We can accept cashier's checks for lower amounts in our discretion. But if you have to have money at closing, it's a great idea to reach out to your closing agency, escrow agent, or attorney in advance in order to start processing that. You will need wire instructions. There's a lot of fraud going on out there, and we've talked a lot about that in the past. You need to be careful in how you obtain those wiring instructions. You should call the source of those instructions.
Not off an email, not off a text.
Yeah, it cannot just come off of the email or text. We will, in our case, send secure emails with partial wiring instructions saying, please call our office to get the balance of the wiring instructions.
I tell people, if you're buying a house, usually the realtor has put the title company's number on your home purchase contract. Yes. Call that number or go to the title office if you're local, right, to get the wiring instructions.
Absolutely, because they've gotten so good at the scams. It's just imperative to be careful and verify where you are sending that money, whether it be an earnest money deposit, whether it be your funds for purchase, whatever it is, you must be careful. Let's see.
And I would say, too, if you're going to be wiring money, go to your bank and talk to them about their wire procedure before the day of, because sometimes you have to be in person in the bank. Sometimes you could do it over the phone, but it just depends on your bank, and you want to make sure you're not delaying your closing if you've got to drive to a bank that your branch may be far away. So,
and another thing to keep in mind is on a lot of closings, the buyer or person refinancing, whatever it may be, has funds in a different account. They might have it in an investment account. They may be getting money out of their 401k, their IRA, borrowing against that perhaps. that takes time and planning.
Right.
You can't decide or figure out 2 or 3 days before the closing that I have to get these funds sent to a different account, or I have to get my broker, my investment broker, to cash this in so I can get the funds in, because that will definitely delay closing. Please always plan in advance and get the information in advance, and pick up the phone, have the conversations with the people that you know are legit, or you can get burned.
That's right.
It's very serious.
Okay, well, and also remember, if I have one that's closing where they're using a home equity line of credit on a different property, but they didn't realize, because they were doing that HELOC on their own property, their primary, it was going to take a few days for it to become available once it hit the account. So keep that in mind. I know when we come back, you guys are going to be talking about, the brand new FinCin law that's going into effect tomorrow. That is going to affect everyone.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yep.
Because that's needs your attention, and there's a lot to be learned.
Starting March 1st.
Okay. Well, you're on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. I'm your host, Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage loan officer. What do you want to accomplish with your mortgage? I can make the mortgage process easy for you with the right mortgage. You can call or text me at 901-482-0354 or connect at jogarner.com. When we come back, we're going to be hearing more from real estate attorneys Shelley Rothman and Rob Drawn of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer Law Firm. And how do we contact you? One way to contact you guys.
Phone number 901-752-1133.
All right. So we're going to hear back from you guys in a little bit. We'll see you guys back in just a moment. Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe provides general information, not an offer to lend. Joe Garner, Talk Shop. Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe does not endorse 100% of the information covered on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. Consult with your certified advisors before acting on any information given on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. Joe Garner is a licensed mortgage loan officer, NMLS 757308, Equal Housing Opportunity.
I'm Craig Jennings with Avalon Capital, Memphis, Tennessee, and you're listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. Now back to our host, Joe Garner.
Okay, it's time for Comic Queries. You probably already know the answer, but we're going to ask you anyway. What's our riddle?
Our riddle is, now listen carefully, in a track race, I'm the one thing you cannot pass, but the closer you get to me, the faster you go. When you finally break me, everyone cheers. What am I?
Oh, gee, I don't know. Let me think.
I know he knows the answer,
Are you
Shelley.
the tape at the finish line?
Yes!
Yay,
Yay, Rob!
Rob, you guessed it. I know
Rob,
our
you guessed
listeners.
it.
Rob to you guys out there, because I know our listeners guessed it too. But today on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe, we're talking about the home stretch from the mortgage approval to the closing table. We're going to do a little spotlight for you guys here in just a few minutes on the new FinCen real estate rule effective tomorrow, March 1st, 2026. But I'm your host, Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage loan officer, and for your home purchase or your refinance that you can brag about, we can find the right mortgage product, and we can make that process easy on a traditional mortgage, special loan product, or maybe even an outside-of-the-box program, too. Connect with me at jogarner.com. Real estate attorneys Shelley Rothman and Rob Drawn of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer in Tennessee and Mississippi. They're in the house. How do we contact you guys?
You can email me at rob, that's R-O-B, at gcemlaw.com.
How do we email you, Shelley?
Shelley, Shelley, at gcemlaw.com.
All right. Well, let's keep going. I think we've got some information about the FinCen
Yeah,
law.
we want to talk about this new regulation that's going into effect tomorrow, like you said. So March 1st, which is tomorrow. FinCin, which, just in case you don't know, is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and that's a bureau of our U.S. Treasury Department. And starting tomorrow, they're going to require a report to be filed on any residential real estate transaction that does not involve traditional financing. So a cash purchase, or maybe somebody buying with a hard money loan, they're going to be required to have a filing done with a lot of information that their closing attorney is going to have to be, we're going to be responsible for gathering and filing with the federal government. And so why are they doing this? First of all, it's an effort to combat money laundering in the United States in residential real estate. And how is this going to affect you? So if you're going to be buying property and you're going to be buying in an entity or a trust, this does not apply to individuals buying property. But if you're going to be buying property in an entity or a trust, then you're going to expect this to be a filing that you're going to have to be a part of. But also, if you're selling property and the buyer is going to be an entity or trust, it's going to include you as well. So they're going to be gathering information. So don't be surprised if your closing attorney is asking for more information than maybe they normally would in a closing. This is going to include, name, address, contact information, a copy of a photo ID, social security numbers. For the buyers, the entity is going to have to provide information for all the beneficial owners, and so that's owners of 25% or more of that entity or of that trust. And so they're going to have to provide name, address, contact information, and social security numbers for them. They're also going to be tracking the funds. So all the money that's going to come into these transactions, we're going to have to acquire bank information, including account information, and for all the source of all the funds going into these closings. So just a heads up, it may delay some closings, but just be prepared for that if you're buying or selling property and there's an entity or a trust involved.
So there's a lot of personal information that's being gathered in connection with this. It's not required when the buyer is an individual or if the buyer is obtaining a loan from a bank or a credit union. The reason that these transactions are exempt is because the banks and credit unions have been required to do anti-money laundering reporting and suspicious activity reporting with FinCen already. So if you're going to be involved in the closing of residential real estate, whether you're the buyer or you're the seller, if the buyer will be a trust or entity, be ready, be prepared to provide this information to your closing agent before closing so that they are able to prepare and file these reports in a timely manner. There are also significant penalties in the thousands of dollars in jail time if we don't handle this and it's just not done correctly by the designated party that's responsible for that. So that's the overview on FinCen for now.
That's right.
And
You had some other tips too,
so
I think.
we're gonna get back to some of the questions that we typically hear as closing attorneys from our clients as their clients are prepared for closing. Shelley talked earlier about bringing the funds to closing, but another question they get is, what else do we need to bring to closing? And the main thing I think is the photo ID. We got to verify that you are who you think you are and who owns this property. I would say at least one state-issued photo ID, and then I always recommend bringing a second form of ID.
Yes.
Some lenders do need that, and so a second form is recommended, and just be prepared for that.
And when you're getting that ready, please note that they no longer accept any photo ID that has expired.
That's right.
Because I've gotten driver's licenses from people that they hadn't renewed it yet, and it is not acceptable.
Right.
That's right.
So that is definitely important also. If you're a seller and you want your proceeds wired from the closing, please bring the wire information to your bank account. Mm-hmm. We'll need the name of the bank, the way your name appears on the account, the address that is associated with that account, the routing number, and the account number. If you handle this prior to coming to closing, it makes it a lot easier and a lot faster at the closing table to make sure that you're going to get the money that is due to you from the closing.
That's right. Another question I get, or I kind of wish I got more, is what day is the best day to close? So when you're signing your contract and you're preparing, a lot of times people pick the end of the month or a Friday just because they want to move in over the weekends. And a lot of times that's kind of the worst day to close.
Yes.
Because everybody's thinking the same thing. So what I recommend is if you could choose any day in the week other than Friday, Thursday is a good day. It gets everything wrapped up. It takes us some time after you sign everything. You're not necessarily going to get keys as soon as you sign all the documents. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we've got to take care of to get it to where we can fund and disperse. And disbursement is the key. So that's when we can give you those keys.
Yes.
So I'd say don't plan it on a Friday, especially before a long weekend. Close on a Thursday or a Wednesday, and then you've got a couple days after the fact to get ready.
I have another one. If you're married and you are buying or refinancing a primary residence, you got to bring your spouse with ID.
Right.
Yes, and also talking about closing days. If we're coming up to a holiday, long weekends. Lots of people want to close so that they can move over that long weekend. Please try and get that closing done at least 3 business days prior to that holiday, because everybody has the same idea and they're going to get backed up. And what could end up happening is it's not swapped, dispersed, funded, and you will not be able to get your possession or give possession during that long holiday.
All right, you're on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. I'm Joe Garner, your host. I'm a mortgage officer. Connect with me today for your home purchase or refinance in the Memphis area or anywhere in the country. jogarner.com. Rob Drawn and Shelley Rothman of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer Law Firm. How is the best way to reach you guys?
I would say go to our website. It's www.gcemlaw.com.
See you guys back in a minute.
Hey, Joe, in your book, Choosing the Best Mortgage, the Quickest Way to the Life You Want, you talk about when it's a good time to refinance a mortgage. So, when is a great time?
You know, it's when it financially makes sense. And today, people are refinancing their mortgages to eliminate double-digit interest rates on their credit cards. Some are getting mortgages out of someone else's name. Some are just pulling cash out for other reasons.
For those strategies and more, order the book today on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, I'm Terry Murphy, real estate author and coach. You're listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe.
Okay, it's time for Did You Know? See if you can guess the answer before we do, and I bet you can.
That's right. All right, so the question today, before becoming a major casino destination, what West Memphis racetrack drew visitors from Memphis for decades of live racing entertainment just minutes from downtown? This venue helped put West Memphis on the national racing map starting in the in the 1950s.
I know.
I know she knows.
My answer is Southland Park Racing and Gaming.
Oh,
You got
yes.
it.
Ding,
Yay.
ding, ding.
W for me. Okay.
Yeah, she is the head of the class. Today on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe, we're talking about the home stretch. So everything is about racing today. And sometimes you are racing to get a home loan or a home purchase. We're talking about the home stretch from mortgage approval to the closing table. And we've talked about the new FinCin rules. So if you're just tuning in and you missed that, catch our podcast on Monday at jogarner.com, and you'll hear all of that good information about the new law going into effect tomorrow, March 1st, 2026. And I'm your host. I'm Joe Garner, and I'm a mortgage loan officer for your home purchase or refinance. Connect with me at jogarner.com. We have real estate closing attorneys Shelley Rothman and Rob Drawn of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer in the house. And they do home purchase loans. They do refinances in Tennessee and Mississippi. How do we contact you guys?
We can be reached at area code 901-752-1133 and ask for Rob or Shelley.
That's right.
And you have a website too,
Yeah,
don't
if
you?
you can visit us at www.gcemlaw.com, and that'll have all our contact information on there as well.
And it'll be on our blog post if you want to catch that on Monday at jogarner.com. But we're talking about, getting to that mortgage approval, from the mortgage approval to the closing. And here are the general steps. If you're new to this, or you want to give this to somebody who is, step number 1, determine what is comfortable for you on a monthly mortgage note and what's the maximum you can pay down without disrupting your emergency fund. That's the first thing before you even get started, is to know what's going to personally work for you financially. Number 2, go ahead and get pre-approved with your lender. And I'm Joe Garner. I would love to be on your home buying journey, whether you're in the Mid-South or anywhere in the country. You can connect with me. But we can explore different mortgage programs and find the one that's going to fit you best. Step number 3, get with your realtor if you need to buy a home or sell a home or both. And 4, if you are buying a home and have a signed home purchase contract, work closely with your lender to get get all your loan support documents in so they can get you a full approval. And the last step, go to the real estate closing office and sign your closing
right. Come
papers.
see us.
Yay! Yay!
Oh, yeah, that's definitely an important step.
Well, and you guys are really involved with that step.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you also help call and make sure people have everything they need before they come. I know y'all are great at that.
We do. We like to let them know a couple days ahead of time so we're not surprised at the end.
Well, here is a group of people that I know are listening right now because they've been calling my office about it. And I want to ask you, do you want to buy a home but you feel stuck with your old home because of family circumstances, or maybe you're clinging to that lower interest rate that you got a few years ago and you're like, I don't really want to move because I don't want to give up my old mortgage? Well, let me tell you about Blancy Bryant. That's not her real name, but she was looking forward to moving outside the city so she could get back to her farming roots during the hours that she wasn't working. She lived with her youngest son in the home. She had raised her family in that home. He was finishing up at a nearby college with his education, and he planned to move out of state for a career opportunity. She didn't want to sell her home until he was on his own and able to support himself, but the world doesn't give us opportunities on our own timetable, does it?
No, it sure doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Well, Blancy's realtor knew the kind of country place Blancy was dreaming of owning, and as it turns out, her realtor found the perfect bit of land and country home with the functioning greenhouse that Blancy had been searching for. There could not be a more perfect location, price, and the price wasn't bad either. You know, the price was good. Blancy felt pushed and pulled in opposite directions, and she wanted to buy the new place because who knows if another home would ever come up like that. But she didn't want to sell it out from under her son, Shelley.
Right.
You know, she had gotten an equity line of credit for $200,000. She had gotten an equity line of credit for I guess it was about $200,000 in equity, and she had on her home, and she used it to pay down on the new home, so her note on the new home would not be too high. But the equity line was a variable rate. And Blancy did not like the uncertainty of that. She didn't want to do a cash out on the old home or for a fixed rate mortgage because there were just too many closing costs on that equity line. So on the actual closing on the big loan. So here's what she did. What Blancy did, she told me, she said, I don't want the equity line. I've got one. I don't want it. I don't want a variable rate. She ended up buying the new home at the higher loan amount with a very small interest rate. A very small down payment. And said, I'm working right now. I can afford it. When my son moves out and I sell my old home, I'm going to take the equity and pay down prepayment to principal on the new loan. I just did a recast for her. Nice. I've set it up in the beginning so that when her son moved out, she would just pay the extra $200,000 that she got from the sale of her home down on the new loan, and now her payment would go from like $3,000 down to about under $1,000 a month.
Those recast options are incredible.
Oh, there was no closing cost on trying to do a cash out refinance. There was no variable rate on getting an equity line. It was perfect for her.
It is
very
perfect.
smart.
That was great planning.
But here's another one. If you guys I know we've got a lot of investors listening today because we're talking about the FinCin rule. So I want to tell you a story about Janae and how she did, what her story was. Janae was working her 9-to-5 job. She was doing okay, but the job alone could not give Janae the lifestyle that she wanted for herself and her family. Passive income streams, Janae thought. If I could build up multiple streams of income coming to me, whether I go to work or not, that, she said, is the life I want. I agree with her. A friend of Janae's family invited her to attend some meetings at a local real estate investment group, and some of the people there had invested in real estate well over the years and no longer had to work a 9-to-5 job. She knew it was a long-term plan, but it gave her hope. And Janae's credit was pretty good. She didn't have enough money to put down or buying multiple real estate properties, though. But for Janae, the answer was getting a line of credit as a second lien on her primary residence. Now, Janae did use her equity line. Now, the other story, the lady didn't want to use it. But this lady did on her primary residence, and she would just pay it back as she could. But she also borrowed against her 401k retirement fund. That created yet another line of credit that would allow her to go in and start purchasing as a down payment real estate properties. Okay, so She also had an opportunity to use some investment partners. But Janae met with her mortgage officer so she could explore a number of options. And the DSCR program was good for Janae. Now, DSCR is only for investors. And there wasn't a lot of not too many restrictions on it like on a traditional loan. She didn't have to come up with a lot of income verification and all that, except we did have to show that she was going to be making money on the property that we were financing. Very easy loan. I know for the company I work with, we have a lot of in-house products and avoid that big broker fee, middleman fee. We don't have to do that.
That's nice.
These really work great. But that's what she ended up doing, and putting like 20% down that she used from these equity lines and lines of credit. But she leveraged because the 80% of the purchase was a loan with very good terms that allowed her to begin to build profitable, positive cash flows on these properties. So what do you want to accomplish with your mortgage? I can help you find the right mortgage and make the process easy. Connect with me at jogarner.com.
Yeah, that's great. I was very excited to hear about your DSCR program. In fact, there were a few investors that I represent, and
we got a couple more questions if we wanted to get back to.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question we get prior to closing is, what do you mean I have to be there in person? I can't be there. So, we get that. There's people all over the country, out of the country. What we do recommend is when you do sign your contract and plan your closing, if you are local, to look at the closing date and try and be available at that time. But depending upon the circumstances, we can make it work. We need to know in advance that you will not be able to attend the closing so that we can make the plans necessary. We can work with mobile notaries. There's just numerous ways we can do it. If, in fact, you are local and you say you cannot be at the closing in person, we need to have a reasonable explanation for the title company.
That's right.
I want to hear more about that. You're on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. I'm Jo Garner, your host. I'm a mortgage loan originator. What do you want to accomplish with your mortgage? Connect with me at jogarner.com. In the house, we have Shelley Rothman and Rob Drawn, attorneys with Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer. How do we contact you guys?
901-752-1133.
All right. Stay tuned. We got some more for you. We're talking about the home stretch from mortgage approval to the closing table. We'll see you guys back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm David Corum, USDA Rural Development in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and you're listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. Now back to your host, Jo Garner.
It's time for Insights and Inspiration. At the 1952 Helsinki Olympics, Roger Bannister was the favorite to win the 1,500 meter. However, he was plagued by a fear of failure that haunted him throughout his career. When the Olympic schedule was unexpectedly changed to include an extra heat, his rigid mental and physical preparation just crumbled. He finished in fourth place, failing to win a medal entirely. Devastated, he nearly retired from the sport, believing he wasn't mentally tough enough for the professional competition. Bannister did some study into the science of running mechanics. He was a track runner and used this knowledge with continuous training to enjoy a different story completely 2 years later. In 1954, at the Oxford University versus Amateur Athletic Association match, Roger Bannister was the first man to break through the psychological barriers and run a mile in less than 4 minutes. His record-breaking victory that year is a testament to the use of knowledge and perseverance to success, even in the face of adversity. Can you remember times when you worked really hard to achieve a desired goal, but you failed? Don't give up. I have met so many homeowners over the years from the mortgage desk that got discouraged and ready to quit. But some real estate experts around you, like a realtor, a mortgage lender, I'd like to sign up for the job, and a good closing attorney like Rob and Shelley here in the studio can contribute their knowledge and resources. Keep pushing through the obstacles. and you will experience success before you know it. Let's explore the right mortgage to help you get quicker to the life you want. On your purchase or refinance, connect with me at jogarner.com. Today on Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe, we're talking about the home stretch, track racing, the home stretch from the mortgage approval to the closing table. I'm your host, Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage originator. I can help you find the right mortgage, whether it's a traditional mortgage, a special program, or an outside-of-the-box program. Again, connect with me, jogarner.com. Real estate attorneys Shelley Rothman and Rob Drawn of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer are in the studio today. How do we contact you guys?
The phone number for the firm is 901-752-1133.
All right. They're going to be coming back here in just a moment. We're going to do something we like to do every week. The real estate tip of the week. I believe, Rob and Shelley, you have our real estate tip of the week.
Sure do. We're going to be talking about fixtures. So when you sell a piece of property, it's just important to be aware that when you sell it, that's going to include the fixtures that are inside the home or on the property. A lot of times people don't think about that, like light fixtures themselves. Sometimes the window treatments, those are included. So if you don't want to sell those, you need to make sure you remove them or exclude them from the contract.
And this also applies to commercial transactions as well. It's very important in that regard, because when you're talking about your residential, we've got our regular fixtures, window treatments, et cetera. But when you get into the commercial realm, if it's an office building, if it's a warehouse, if it's a building that had a restaurant, machinery, equipment that constitutes a fixture, you all need to be really clear as to what you want to take with you as a seller, or what you want to stay as the buyer.
That's right.
It's best to get it figured out right up front, rather than everybody the day after closing say, oh my goodness, this is missing. Speaking of missing things, I had a closing a couple of years ago where I had the buyer, and when the buyer went there, all the rose bushes around the house were missing because the seller took them.
Oh, no.
Okay. That's just not a good idea.
Not a good idea. Oh, my goodness.
No.
They probably bought the house because of the roses.
That was a big part of it. Mm-hmm.
Well, my tip from the mortgage desk is special programs right now are trending. They are great. I know the company I work with, we have several in-house programs that will go outside of the box. So if you got good credit, but you don't qualify on these traditional loans, come and talk with me. There are some ways to get it done. You can call me or text me 901-482-0354 or jogarner.com. But Talk Shop is one of our main sponsors, and they equip with education. They offer free networking and education for anyone interested in real estate, business, or health and wellness. They have a meeting in person and online every Wednesday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time at the Independent Planning Group's Conference Room 110 at the Clark Tower, 5100 Poplar Avenue, first floor in Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you to Ben Hunter. He's an outstanding financial professional with Independent Planning Group for being our location sponsor for Talk Shop. Talk Shop on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, 9 a.m. Central is Memphis Hacks, 9 Ways to Make Our City Awesome. It's presented by TED Talk speaker Kim Haliak of Experience Memphis Gardens. Don't miss that. Thank you to Craig Jennings and Robert Bell of Avalon Capital, private hard money lenders, for your support of our real estate community through Talk Shop sponsorships. For real estate investors who need a temporary quick cash loan to buy investment property, maybe you need to fix it up, maybe you want to resell it later, call Craig and Robert at 901-417-8427. Thank you to Realtors Pat Goldstein of Crye-like in Tennessee and Mississippi, and Silvana Piadotti, a realtor with eXp Realty in Tennessee and Mississippi, for your support for our real estate community through your sponsorship of Talk Shop. If you want to sell a home, purchase a home for primary residence, second home, or investment property, contact Pat at 901-606-2000 or Silvana Piadotti, 901-647-6661. Make your plan. Let's work your plan. If the deal works for you today, let's do it today. You can subscribe and get Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe podcast with show notes. We'll throw some pictures in there for you, too. You can do that today at jogarner.com. I have a quote from the quote corner, and here it is. It's from Anonymous. It says, "Never run faster than your guardian angel can fly."
That's great.
Oh, that is true.
So you guys have got some other stuff too.
We
I
do.
think.
Another question we get about is title theft, and so I know a lot of people are curious about that, and it is unfortunately something that we do see in this market. So a couple of the tips that we have for that is a lot of times your registrar's office will have a notice or an alert system set up so you can sign up with them for free. They'll alert you if anything gets recorded in your name or your property, and that way you could kind of start the process of dealing with that.
And another thing is, if you can access your local registrar's office website, you can keep an eye on that. A lot of them, again, have the fraud alerts you can sign up for, but in some of the smaller counties, they might not have that. So you can just get on there and check for your name and see if anything has popped up on that. Another thing that I've actually had some people do is get a line of credit secured by the property. Mm-hmm. A very low cost loan to get if you're with the right lender, Joe. And it shows up as a lien, but you don't pay any interest on it unless you actually draw the money. Right. But it looks as though that property is unencumbered.
Right. It is encumbered.
It looks as though it is encumbered. But
great tip. I'm telling you. Well, Shelley Rothman and Rob Drawn, Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Maschmeyer, how do we best contact you guys?
Call us at 901-752-1133.
And I'm Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage officer, and you can connect with me. Please do today. I want to hear your story. Let's explore the best financing options that'll give you some bragging rights. You can do that at jogarner.com. Thank you so much for listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shoppe. Subscribe at jogarner.com, and we'll send you a podcast with show notes every week. Hang out with us, and we'll see you guys back next Saturday.